Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Strategic Command, World War II, World at War. It is June of 1942, we're in the heart of the summer of 1942. We are attempting to reduce Spain, who has joined the war on the side of the Axis powers. We have Madrid surrounded, we've taken Cadiz, we've taken Burgos in the north. The war itself seems to be going reasonably well, but the concern that we have at this point is that we have vastly outstripped our ability to supply our forces. We have a group of troops here in Spain that are low on supply. We've cut the Germans off from their supply. They've sent 3 heavy tank units down that vastly outclass our own. They're level 3 tanks, and we don't have anywhere near as much armor in Spain. But we've surrounded them. We've cut their supply line moving north from Bordeaux along this rail line here. We've surrounded Madrid, which is a supply center. We've taken Burgos, which is a supply center. So we've done a lot to limit their ability to supply their forces, but we're still not in a great position because of our own lack of supply. Now, we are hoping to remedy that somewhat. We've landed a British headquarters unit here, which should help the supply in the north. We have an American headquarters unit here just offshore of Spain on the way, and that's where we find ourselves here in June of 1942. On the Eastern Front, things are not going great either. I don't want to kind of bore you with all the details, but the Germans are advancing on Stalingrad. We've thrown a couple of garrison units in front of them. They probably won't take Stalingrad this turn, but they will definitely get to the city itself. These guys are going to die real fast. They're also driving on the objective at Voronezh. Up north near Moscow, they have closed within striking distance of Moscow. Our front line here is pretty thin. We don't have a lot sort of behind that. We do have some additional forces which have been raised, which can shift north, which can probably prolong the fall of Moscow. I would imagine at least 2 turns, but who knows how much further than that. Leningrad isn't doing great. We did just destroy a German corps here to the south of Leningrad. The German supply situation up here makes things a little bit more difficult for them, but we are kind of hanging on here. Actually, this guy doesn't have any entrenchment. Kind of wondering if it's better off to advance him just to take the pressure off of Stalingrad, so we'll do that. But you can see here the Germans are advancing on Leningrad, and we are kind of holding on by the skin of our teeth there. They're trying to flank and sort of split our lines in the north between Leningrad and Moscow with this infantry push here through these forests. I think our force here is good enough to stop that temporarily, but again, that's probably more of a momentary pause rather than like an actual successful stop. In China, the front there is a little bit more complex. We've done a lot of damage to some Japanese forces in the north, but they are sort of flanking and threatening the communist capital at Yan'an. In the south, we're doing a bit better, having destroyed yet another Japanese unit near Changsha and driven back some Japanese air units. The U.S. Navy has done well as well off the coast of Kwajalein and Eniwetok, sort of pinning a Japanese carrier in place there, and that's sort of the situation that we find ourselves in at the moment. Now, I'm not quite sure what to expect, in all honesty. We are, I think, doing well in the Pacific, all things considered. The European front is not going great. And the Spanish front just got a lot more complex with the arrival of these 3 German units. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Our goal on the Russian front has to be to survive to winter of 42, but I don't know if we'll get there. The German income keeps going up because they have so much of Europe conquered. Taking Spain would reduce that somewhat. Some attrition from supply from a Portuguese unit in the east of Spain, close to Valencia. German submarines are threatening supply convoys. Pierre Laval broadcasts calling for an Axis victory over the USSR. The Commonwealth Party is formed, or the Commonwealth Party is formed in the UK to challenge the Electoral Pact. I don't know what that means. UK is developing armored warfare level 1. That's good. That should allow their tanks to attack twice. The US is developing anti-aircraft defenses, which are also good. That should help against these swarms of German Air Force units. Most of them are in Russia right now, but eventually they will turn west, and we'll have to deal with them. We at least have gained control of the Mediterranean from a sea power perspective. Japanese destroyers are attacking our submarines here in the Gulf of Siam. Or our submarines in the Gulf of Siam, they just destroyed that. Japanese cruiser came forward and finished off one of our damaged destroyers. German subs just finished off one of our damaged battleships off the Portuguese coast. More subs are going after our battleship here, our British battleship off the Portuguese coast, although it looks like they're going after that Canadian destroyer. which, okay, I mean, they destroyed it, but I'm okay with that. I would much rather they attack a destroyer than a battleship. Also, the AI tends not to attack battleships in port, so that's good for us. Even though you can attack battleships in port to some effect, the AI rarely does it. Our communist troops near Ningxia in the northern portion of China had counterattacked 2 Japanese armies that were moving south, and those Japanese armies are suffering from poor supply. And they did quite a bit of damage to the Japanese, so that was a good result. Looks like they just pulled that army back a little bit. Meanwhile, TAC air for the Japanese, hitting our Chinese forces pretty hard. German TAC air in Europe also doing a number on some of our forces there. We have infantry at Malkop, bombers hitting at Vorsyth, some army units to the northwest of Moscow are getting hit. This is the one area that we have quite a bit of fighters to intercept their attacks there. You can see the Stukas going in. The Stukas are suffering some casualties. The troops are still getting hit, but at least the fighters are kind of rising to the occasion. That armor, that infantry unit we moved into the salient there in the north, just south of Leningrad, got hit by multiple air attacks and is now very weak, down to 3 hit points. I imagine it'll probably get destroyed. There goes one of the garrisons in front of Stalingrad here. Germans advance another army unit there, destroy the other garrison unit in front of Stalingrad. They now border Stalingrad. They also destroyed the unit blocking the escape out of the Crimean Peninsula near Kerch. An attack on Vorneze is going well for the Germans. Meanwhile, a garrison unit there, kind of between that lake and Leningrad and Moscow, just got destroyed, so there is a gap now in our line there. Army unit there in front of Moscow just got destroyed. Crap. Heavy German attack in the south, trying to overwhelm some infantry and some mechanized troops there. Heavy damage. They didn't destroy him yet, but doing quite a bit of damage here. This is sort of the peak of the German summer offensive at this moment. It is July of 42. They'll probably have one more turn of really, really good, favorable weather. Maybe 2, maybe into September, of good, favorable weather for their attacks. Meanwhile, the attacks just south of Leningrad don't really go anywhere. Spanish troops try to break out of Madrid. They do a little bit of damage to the Portuguese troops there, but not super effective. They also counterattack our special forces units there near Barcelona with their armor. Oh shit! I thought they had 3 Tigers, but it looks like one of them is a regular armored unit there. I didn't quite see what happened there. We might have lost a unit destroyed, but I'm not sure. Meanwhile, the Germans are in. No, we didn't. But they did threaten to cut off our Canadian corps there. German armor is trying to sort of isolate and destroy our units in eastern Spain. It'll be interesting to see how effective that is. So far, not very. Yeah, meanwhile, the Caucasus and Russia is being broken into, which is going to have disastrous economic effects for us in the long run. Okay. Trying to destroy this Japanese Marine unit near Kota Baru. They still haven't taken Singapore, which is actually really good for British morale. If Singapore falls, you get a nice little morale hit there. Longer we can hold, the better. Okay, so a lot of casualties. The U.S. lost the S-42 sub, the Summers destroyer, and the New York battleship. Canadians lost the Eseborn destroyer. The Chinese lost the 68th Army. The Soviets lost the Brest-Litovsk garrison, the 12th garrison. The 14th Corps, the Premysl garrison, the Stalingrad Corps, the 4th Army is destroyed. The good news is they did break through sort of some of the frontline units near Moscow, but I think we have substantial reinforcements coming. So I think that means we should be able to get into August or September before anything disastrous happens. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna move around some of our air units because some of them are a little bit inconveniently located. Oh wow, that's a good result. Well, we just destroyed a German corps there. Okay. We'll reinforce these troops here to full strength along the Leningrad line. Let them sort of dig in. We destroyed one German corps in the north, so that was nice. The rest of these guys are going to all dig in. Most of them are not entrenched. Some of them have a limited amount of entrenchment. Meanwhile, we're going to shift these troops south here to block this gap that opened up. I don't think because of zones of control they can get to this railway line up here. Even if they do, the supply can go around, but I don't think they can exploit this. The terrain here isn't favorable enough. So these two units should be able to block there. I'm thinking about moving this armored unit down here and counterattacking this German heavy artillery. That doesn't look like it'll do much. I'm going to move this infantry formation forward. Maybe I shouldn't. Are these guys building? They're not. Okay. So I need to figure out the best way to hold the line. These guys do have some entrenchments, so I would prefer not to. Alright, these guys at Penza need to advance. The Polish unit at Kubajev is going to rail into these headquarters near Kalin. Oh shit, I didn't want to do that. That was a mistake. I should have moved them somewhere else. Alright, so I'm going to move... I hate the idea of moving an anti-aircraft unit to the front because it's going to get chewed up. But I need it a little bit as cannon fodder to buy time as we move this army here into this fortification here to the west of Moscow. So these two fortifications are occupied here. This unit's already entrenched a little bit. They're going to reinforce and dig in a little bit more. Only 10% experience loss from those reinforcements, so that'll be nice. Meanwhile, these troops at Kalin are digging in as well. I'm going to reinforce this fighter unit and this tactical bomber unit. We'll just reinforce all our air force all over here. Can these guys reinforce? No, because I moved them. Alright, so I'm going to try and maintain the troops that are in position. The problem is when you do heavy reinforcements, you lose a lot of experience and you lose efficiency and morale and readiness. Ideally, you do those away from the front line. Alright, these troops are going to fall back to Ryazan because they're down to 2 strength. We're going to reinforce the troops at Vorzath. Also advance these units onto the flank. Can we hit these guys in the flank? Alright, these guys are going to fall back to Saratov. We'll bring this corps down from Vorzaya here to extend that line. The troops in Stalingrad have level 3 fortifications, so they'll actually have level 4 by the end of this next turn. Unfortunately, the Germans attacking them are going to have level 2 infantry weapons. We need to place some of these new Soviet units, so I think one thing we'll do here is place these guys in Vyshevozhaik to sort of build that front line back up in the north. I didn't even attack with these tanks, did I? Like, maybe I don't even want to move them here. Defensive artillery. Alright, so we'll fall back there. Move that infantry forward here. I know, you know you guys are gonna yell at me saying, "Hey, don't move them out of their city. They were digging in there." But it's more about some of this is about keeping them a little bit further away from Moscow and delaying them. We are going to keep these troops in the south in place. I kind of want to block the advance here, but I don't want to open my flank. I don't want to leave these guys exposed on the front. So I think we'll move here. Just for zones of control reasons, I'll move this fighter forward 1. Move this anti-aircraft unit back over this way. Stalingrad, I think, will largely keep things the same. I do think we should place a couple of units in the Caucasus to delay the German advance there. So go ahead and put a garrison in Grozny. We have a core, 2 cores, and a destroyer. I don't really care about the destroyer all that much. Can't even place the destroyer in Leningrad. The only place we can place it is way up north there. Alright, so I think we're good here. We're as good as we can expect to be. There's 2 cores. We could place one of them in the south. I don't think they can advance over the mountains into Poti quite yet this turn, so maybe the garrison in Grozny is really the thing we need. These troops at Koltanov, I think we'll move forward here. We're going to cross the river. They're going to be a little bit of cannon fodder, but they should hopefully distract the main German effort, at least for 1 or 2 attacks away from Stalingrad for another turn. We're going to go ahead and place these 2 cores. Going to place one of them in front of Moscow here. Another one. We'll shift. I don't know. Part of me wants to shift this headquarters unit north to have a unit in Moscow start entrenching, but I'm not sure that'll really make a big difference. So I guess we'll just go ahead and place this guy in Kalin. Actually, no. We need more troops in the south. That's where their armor is. So go ahead and place this guy down here. So we've kind of got a wall of troops here. So I don't think they'd be able to take Moscow yet this turn. Placing these troops away from the front line so they have a turn to sort of rest, and hopefully they don't get hit too hard. I think that's about as solid of a line as we can force. My hope is that they attack this brand new 43rd Army here, down in the, or not the brand new, but the unit that moved up from Kotelnov. I don't think they can quite get to Astrakhan to cut off the Caucasus entirely yet. 1 garrison unit in Grozny should at least slow the advance into the Caucasus. We still have 220 points left for the USSR. That's enough to raise 2 infantry corps that have already been previously destroyed, so we can go ahead and do that. Might also be enough to raise a garrison. Not with infantry weapons, but at least a regular garrison, so we can do that. So raise 2 corps and a garrison. We also have some additional units coming in next turn at the end of the month in July. So we'll have... We actually might get an army and a corps and a garrison next turn, or we might just get a garrison and a corps next turn. It's hard to say. But we have 1 army and 3 corps in the next 2 turns, as well as a garrison. Looks like we might also get another tactical bomber unit. I need more fighters, not more bombers. But that's the Russian front as of July of 42. The next turn will be August. And after that, so the Germans have August and September, realistically, with good weather. So 2 more turns on the attack. Again, I expect Stalingrad to fall. It's a question of whether we can hold Moscow basically for 3 more turns, maybe 4 more turns before the weather turns. 2 more ideal turns. Then I think we'll start dealing with mud and rain that may limit the effectiveness of their air power. But that's the situation right now. Holding on by the skin of our teeth in Russia in middle of 42. Meanwhile, these German units here are largely without supply. Our own units here are a little bit cut off. I don't have my supply, my headquarter in yet. I'm going to move this guy forward to Porto. This is, what do you call it? Bradley. So land him here. Move him on the roadway east towards Salamanca. So we have an American headquarter unit now arriving. We also have another American mechanized unit here arriving. In Spain. Bad weather down there in Spain is going to prevent our air power from really doing anything against the German subs. We have a British Special Forces unit that is arriving. Why is Vigo still considered Axis? That's got to be a bug, right? Like, why would they have this port? We own that part of Spain. It doesn't make any sense. All right. I think the question is, can we hold out? Oh, we've got British corps arriving near Barcelona. We'll move this armor south here. This German armor has no supply. Yet somehow when they have no supply, even if we try to attack them, we can't. Not successfully, anyway. That doesn't make any sense. Can we bomb them? Is it raining? Alright, so we'll try and hit them with some carrier-based aviation. Well, at least we'll shoot up their fighters a bit. Maybe it'll drop their effectiveness and their morale a bit. So we hit them twice with air power there. Didn't really change anything. Try and hit them again. Hit him again! Yep, not doing anything. Let's see, 2 to 3. If we move here, it's 2 to 3, but we can move this infantry formation forward. So we can hit them 2 to 3 here. Although it's more like 2 to 2. The second attack is 1 to 3. That's nice. And we drove them back. So that was actually a good result there for us. This Canadian unit's going to reinforce. These Americans are going to come up here and try and hit Burgos again. Attack air down here in the south. How far can we hit? Not very. We'll move these guys forward to Salamanca. Although they're going to be kind of on the advance route for these new units. Maybe we should move them off the actual bases. So we'll go ahead and hit these tanks that are in the open. Do a little bit of damage there. These guys can't reinforce. They have no supply. Move this American army here to Valencia to take that, to fully pocket these guys. Move this mechanized force around a little bit to get in the way of the Germans here. These Portuguese troops will reinforce. American strat bombers here. All right, this British army here still needs to block any potential advance. Move these tactical bombers forward a little bit. We'll kind of maintain our hold on Cadiz. Did we get more American units on the west coast yet? We do have a army here, so we'll go ahead and throw these guys on transports. Move them inside our protective shield here off the coast. Move these battleships into port here to protect them against German subs. Oh, shit. Okay. Almost all the ports are occupied. Not quite. Lagos is open, and so is Cadiz. But we need some of those ships to stay out at sea as well. Trying to see if we can bombard these guys and destroy this air unit via bombardment. Alright, so move that transport ship down there. These guys will also move up to Barcelona. So we're ready to drop another, the Sudan Infantry Corps and the 10th British Army are ready to come in at Valencia. This British Special Forces unit, I think, will swing south and try and hit this German army. Nice! We got one of the heavy tanks. So these guys are basically without supply as well. They have, again, no supply route. So one of the German armored units is gone. We're just trying to flood Spain with as many men as we have now, as we can. Now, this is going to lead to another problem when we try and advance into France. I'm sure the Germans are going to clog Bordeaux with a bunch of units. But I think my strategy will be, once we reduce Spain, throw some of these troops back on transports, advance south in Bordeaux, and then land troops in the rear, using our large amount of naval forces to gain superiority. The German subs are going to be a nuisance, but I'm hoping we can deal with it. I'm just a little bit uneasy with all these German units here that a counterattack, especially from this 29th Corps out of Burgos, could lead to some serious problems, because they're going to have supply now. That is a supply center, and that is going to impact our supply throughout the front, I believe. If these guys truly have 3 and 2 supply, they may be able to counterattack, drive into Madrid, and liberate them. And these guys are level 3 tanks, so if they have supply, they will outclass us, which could be a problem. Let's see here. I want to move these ships adjacent to this port to hurt its supply. Meanwhile, these guys can't get thrown on transports yet. The British still have 317 points left. Just doing some fighter sweeps here near the channel just to sort of determine if the Germans are doing anything in terms of, like, preparing any kind of amphibious assault. I don't think they are at this time. But we have almost no troops in England, so if they do, we could be kind of screwed. We already did Russia. That's the British Isles. Go ahead and spend a little bit of our points here to... No. So what's the supply situation there? That is a capital and a supply center. Really? It's only supply 5? Alright. We probably need to get an Australian headquarters to see. So let's throw these guys on. Well, so I don't know what the Japanese have in and around Guadalcanal. It would be nice to launch a counteroffensive against them, but that may be ill-advised at this time. But what we will do is we'll throw a headquarters unit towards Sydney, where they can get on transports, not this turn, but soon. We'll also go ahead and spend some forces, or some money, reinforcing some Aussie troops. Get some American troops there too. Upgrade this corps here. Infantry weapon level 2, anti-aircraft defense. Mobility may be less important for them. So spending the bulk of the rest of our British money upgrading and reinforcing units in Australia. All right. Just gonna hang in there. Continue moving this headquarter unit south. Are they dug in? Is that why we're having such trouble attacking them? No, they're not. Well, that was pointless. They just are better than us, I guess. Better supplied, that's for sure. Meanwhile, in China, we've got some British troops arriving in China, so that's encouraging. Move these guys toward Yichang. Which one's Stillwell? Is he... These guys have, like, full supply, or close to full supply. So that's kind of cool. We just spent all of our Chinese money reinforcing one unit. That was foolish. Shit. Yeah, there's about to be a breakthrough, I would guess, in China. They've got troops in the south. I don't have any money for reinforcing these guys. They don't really have supply down there, so that's good. Nice. We drove an armored unit back. We'll move this British unit forward here near Changsha. Although it's not actually up, or it's an Indian unit. And it doesn't have any upgraded anything. So that may have been foolish. It's still operating with no upgrades to its infantry weapons. Move these guys back. We'll move Stillwell into this unit. Alright. Trying to kind of plug the gaps here. Boom! Keep it up, communists in the north. You're doing good. Alright. So that kind of does that there. Now the American Navy... Problem is I don't know where his carriers went. Seemed like they sailed off in this direction. Oh, we found him! We found him! Alright, so his air wing is still there slightly, so we'll move these guys down here. Can we finish this carrier off? So its air wing is gone. Got him! Another enemy carrier destroyed. Danger, Will Robinson. Danger! This American carrier has no air wing left, so we'll fall back to Pearl so we can reinforce it. And the Japanese fleet in the Central Pacific has been more or less wiped out. So we could begin our naval counteroffensive probably soon. I'm pulling my naval assets back so I can pause and regroup and reinforce. We'll tell our carriers... Oh, I should have... Okay, so this battleship is at full strength, so I'll have this guy fall back. So next turn for the Americans, a big chunk of their money is going to go into reinforcing naval assets. I really need to be doing a better job of investing, too. If we go to research for the Americans, what are they investing in? Aerial warfare is already done, so actually we can get a little bit of money back there. Same for naval warfare. So that should help give us a little bit more money. We're investing in heavy bombers and advanced tanks. We really need to invest more in advanced fighters. So we're at level 2, but the enemy's already, I think, at level 3 largely. Naval weaponry is level 2, that's maxed out. Infantry weapons, that's 2, that's maxed out. That's good. Both of those are good. Spying and technology is almost maxed out, and it's almost complete, so that's good. Amphibious warfare is at level 3 out of potentially 5. It's working its way toward level 4, so that's good. TAC air is already up to level 2, so that's good. What do I still... So tanks are 3 and moving. Command and control is not invested at all. It's at 1. I'm not sure. Anti-aircraft defense could use another tick. Alright. Okay, so that's that. I want to use some of the money that's left over to buy some units for the Americans. Tanks? Can we afford any? It's 250. We have... No, it's 225. No, we can't afford a level 3 tank, which would be nice. Damn! We can afford some Marines, though. So we probably should buy that, I think. So we'll purchase some Marines, maybe? Or should we go with the Infantry Corps? The Miracle Corps? Do that. Maybe go for a garrison, too. That might be useful in Spain. So we'll go with a Corps and a garrison unit. We have that coming... We've got our first escort carrier, actually, already, coming in August. So that may be next turn, as well as a garrison. And then in September, in 2 turns, we'll get another Marine division, or Corps. And then in October, we'll get 2 escort carriers and 2 infantry armies. as well as later in the year in December we'll get an Essex-class carrier. So that'll be nice. The British don't have any money left, do they? Nope. I think I might have forgotten some units that were moving via sea. Maybe not. I thought I had thrown some troops on some garrison troops on transports, but I don't see them. So maybe I didn't. Meanwhile, all those troops are moving around here. We already moved them. Those headquarters unit, we're not moving the airborne unit there. This British Special Forces unit is moving toward China. Same for these guys. The Indian headquarter unit here is moving toward China slowly. Really need to buff up our navy in the Indian Ocean. That could come in handy. All right, actually, why don't we do this? We need to get some of these guys toward transports. So these guys can't even apparently load up on transports. I don't quite understand why. I want to get this armor back toward somewhere we can throw them on transports. Artillery is also going to be useful. Again, if we go to war with Vichy, that may be a slight problem, so we'll leave some infantry and some units around here. I'm assuming they won't spawn a whole new Africa Corps there. And I'm hoping that these German armored units aren't effective in their attacks against our mechanized troops, or these Madrid forces aren't effective at attempting to break out. I think by putting this American army here, we've isolated the Burgos garrison here, this German corps here at Burgos. It will draw supply because it is a supply center, but it won't be able to feed supply elsewhere. I don't think the Germans can move through mountainous terrain with heavy tanks without supply. So I'm hoping that, next turn we can finish off this armor, and maybe 2 turns Spain can fall as we move the headquarters units forward. Looking here, supply is a little bit low, but with this American supply, it should start feeding some supply forward here to move these guys from 3 to 4, these guys from 0 to 4. I don't know if these Portuguese troops are going to sort of die out because they don't have any supply, but we did get the port of Valencia open to them, so maybe they'll get a little bit of supply in through there. But I'm thinking Spain should fall inside 2 turns if things go our way. With that being said, that's enough of me rambling. We're almost at 40 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. I hope you guys are enjoying the series. Please let me know your thoughts down below. And until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again, thank you very much for watching. And until next time, I'm out.